Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about something that is, well, it's just one of the toughest conversations a family can have. And that's figuring out if it might be time for a loved one to move into assisted living. It's a decision that's so loaded with emotion. So our goal here is to just walk through it, give you a practical guide to hopefully find some clarity. Okay, let's get into it.
And wow, this quote just hits it right on the head, doesn't it? This is never, ever just about logistics. It's all tangled up in love and memories and promises you might have made years ago. So if you're feeling this enormous weight of guilt or obligation, that's completely normal. Just acknowledging that is honestly the first step.
So, to try and make sense of it all, we've broken this down into 5 key areas. We're going to start with the emotional side of things, and then we'll get into the really concrete stuff. Safety red flags, when care just gets to be too much, the financial piece, and finally, something we don't talk about enough, your own well-being. Right, so let's start there, with that heart-wrenching emotional side. Those feelings of guilt and sadness are real, and they are 100% valid. But to make the best decision, you almost have to shift your perspective. It's about trying to move from reacting with your heart to observing with your eyes, looking at what's actually happening day to day.
And that's really the whole point of this. Nobody can make this decision for you. But what we can do is shine a light on the tipping points, the moments when staying at home, even with all the love in the world, might not be the safest or most sustainable choice anymore. Not for them, and maybe not for you either.
Okay, let's move on to the next section. And this is about 2 of the biggest, most serious red flags you can see when it comes to safety. We're talking about things that are not just minor problems. These are situations where the risk of someone getting hurt becomes a real and, frankly, non-negotiable concern. First up is aggression. Now, it is so important to see this not as someone just being difficult, but as a serious safety issue, often a symptom of something like dementia. If a loved one is becoming physically aggressive, they could hurt you or they could hurt themselves. And even if you try new approaches or medications, if that aggression continues, the home is just not a safe environment anymore for either of you. The second huge safety issue is wandering. For a person with dementia, that urge to just get up and leave can be overwhelming. And it happens so fast. You can turn your back for 30 seconds to grab a glass of water and they can be out the door. The risk of them getting lost or injured is it's terrifyingly high. And at that point, you have to realize that a community specifically designed for memory care, one that's secured, is often the absolute safest place for them to be.
So you have those big, immediate safety threats. But then there's also just the practical side of things. There comes a point where the physical and logistical work of being a caregiver just becomes too much to handle at home. You hit a limit.
So how do you know if you've hit that limit? Well, just ask yourself these questions. Do you have to be on 24/7? Are you up multiple times every single night? Are you physically hurting yourself trying to lift or move them? The simple truth is, one person or even 2 cannot keep up that intensity forever. It's not a failure. It's just humanly impossible. It's just unsustainable. Okay, now we need to talk about something that can feel really uncomfortable, but it's a huge piece of this whole puzzle, and that's money. We have to look at the financial reality of long-term care. A lot of us just assume that keeping a loved one at home is going to be the cheaper option. And sometimes, at the very beginning, it can be. But here's the thing. As their needs grow, you need more and more hours of professional help. And those hourly rates add up fast. You can very quickly get to a point where paying for round-the-clock in-home care is actually way more expensive than the predictable, all-inclusive monthly cost of an assisted living community.
And this brings us to our final sign. And honestly, it might be the one we overlook the most. Because it's not about your loved one's health, it's about yours. And your well-being isn't just a nice to have here. It is absolutely essential to their safety.
So I want you to just take a breath and really ask yourself this. I'm not talking about the normal, everyday stress of life. I mean that deep, constant, can't catch a break kind of stress that comes with being a full-time caregiver. Just be honest with yourself for a second. How are you really?
Because here's the crucial thing. Caregiver burnout isn't just about feeling tired. It's a state of total exhaustion, mental, physical, and emotional, that actually makes it harder for you to provide safe care. When you're running on empty, your patience is gone, your focus slips, your own health starts to fail, and that puts both of you at risk. So, when you put it all together, this whole decision really comes down to recognizing that tipping point. Whether it's a safety risk like wandering, or care needs that you physically can't manage anymore, or your own health is just collapsing from the stress,
Getting to that point means that a move might just be the most loving, the most responsible, and the safest choice for everyone.
And we'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. We think of caregiving as this act of total self-sacrifice. But what if? What if the best, most loving care you can possibly give them is to finally take care of yourself? To get the support you both need so you can stop being an exhausted caregiver and just be their son or daughter or spouse again. It's something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us.